organized fashion.
What the hell do you mean? Mackie, did you hear that? Let's move.
What's going on, Jenkins?
10-1. Officer down, Sergeant. Just came over the zone. They're saying it's intelligence.
Who? Jenkins, who?
Martel. Detective Martel, ma'am. Ruzik was riding with her, and somehow they got ambushed on their way back from a crime scene.
Where is she now? Where's Martel now?
Why don't you let me get a job?
What is up with this town? Is it rich or is it poor?
Well, there's a little old money, a few new extraction millionaires, and the rest of us fighting over the scraps.
What if you and I just took that money?
These little devils are like rocket fuel for the mucks. Work harder, they keep on popping.
Men do whatever they want in this town. Why can't I? This place is dangerous. We need to get out, but without money, we can't do that.
You have to turn it a bunch of times to the right. Money won is sweeter than money earned.
Run!
And money grabbed is the sweetest of all.
All right, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Podcast of Traveling Actors. I'm one of the hosts, Brandon Wall.
I'm Deaton Gabbard.
And we have an amazing guest today. We have a Leanne Johnson with us.
That's me. Pronounced now, Leanne. Leanne Johnson.
And Leanne Johnson.
Leanne Johnson.
It's French.
This is a woman.
It's going to be very French.
This is a woman that does not need any introduction. If you are in Kentucky at all, you know her name, and Indiana because she is an actress, producer, action star. Let's see, what else?
Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
I'm a very great cook. I'm a
Crafty.
No. So craft services.
We haven't had a woman on set yet, so he doesn't know how to act. I'm so sorry.
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands. Right now.
I apologize. He's got a sweat beading right on the mustache.
I don't think.
No, but seriously, like, what all have you done?
I mean, I started out as an actor, and then films that I was in weren't getting made.
That's fair.
And because I started out in the indies. And so I was like, oh, geez, like, what do I got to do? And I guess that's called producing. Found that out pretty quickly. And so I just started figuring out how to take on those elements of like what goes on behind the scenes, how you start in pre-pro, how you finish a film in post, and just making sure that a film gets carried all the way through, like the whole way, because I think it's just, as storytellers, we want to tell our stories. We just want to experience them for ourselves. It's selfish, in my opinion. I want other people to, become a part of that experience. And so when you're a filmmaker, you need to make the film. Otherwise, the story is just, it's with the crew and maybe you experience it a little bit yourself. But the effectiveness of sharing that story is limited if you're actually not able to make it. So that was how I got into producing. Basically, like, let's get this done. Yeah. And, I'm a go-getter, so that kind of fit really well. And then I've done writing. I've done writing for feature film M30 Oxy, which is a Kentucky-based film. It was shot in the Appalachians. Yeah, Derek, what's up? And writer Wesley Mullins invited me on to co-write with him to give a female voice because it's about 50-50 split for male and female characters. And so that was a really awesome, one of the best writing experiences I've had. And I thought that was really part of the beauty of collaboration is inviting people who have a different experience than you and not being threatened by people that are different than you. And I feel like that collaboration just makes stories better. And so that film is now very, very close to being done. And we're excited to share it. So
super excited.
Awesome. Yeah.
So did you start out always wanting to be an actor?
Always, actually. I think back when I was a kid, I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, an actor. I would watch movies with my dad, and I would imitate accents. But so most of the accents I can actually do are male characters because I didn't have a lot of female role models growing up. The coolest female role model that I had at one point, which is funny because, I like superhero stuff, but was Batgirl. Nice. I thought that was like, that was the first, female role model character that I attached to as a young woman. And I was like, she didn't have any superpowers. She was smart and worked hard and kicked butt. And I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, so very early on, I knew that there was less women, I guess, empowered or in stronger roles that I didn't have those role models growing up. So now we're kind of trying to change that with the narrative and kind of seeing women in different roles and different stories represented in different ways is a big passion of mine.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
And we definitely need more of that.
Yeah, we need more
of
of
around here.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've auditioned and seen the scripts around here, so we get it. Like, that is something, and honestly, we're at fault for it too, because, the way that me and Cam did it, rather than get a female writer to help us, we just don't have female characters. Just get away with it. We have like 2 female characters.
That makes sense,
that
though.
way. Yeah.
Right?
Because we know what we can write, and we
Right.
don't want to write inauthentically.
Yeah.
So we were like, we can do 1 or 2, but after that, it's like, well, I don't know. Are there other different types?
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I think it can be scary to invite people, whether it's a different gender, different race, just people who are different than ourselves. We tend to want to collaborate with people who are like us because it's just easy. It's like, the vibe is there and it's not as challenging. But I think that a lot of that is just kind of stepping outside of our comfort zones. And you find out that you're not really that different. You just, you have the same goals and the same passions and the same drive or the same sense of humor. But you just kind of had to get over that initial like, hey, we come from, different backgrounds or we look different or whatever that is. So I think that's really big that you just admitted that, to be honest. I think a lot of women will say the same. They're like, I don't want to work with men. Guys are horrible.
Well,
I don't know.
We don't want to work with them. It's a matter of we just don't know how to write for them. Like, and we that was one of our biggest struggles. We're on the 4th draft now, and we finally figured out how to make our female character not just some, like, I don't want to say bimbo, but like two-dimensional, like, just always there, always eager to help and stuff. And it finally took that. I can say this is not a spoiler. It finally took us in the 4th draft. We realized, or 3rd draft, we realized to give another character and her a family dynamic, so that when stuff starts happening, then she is no longer like all for going on the journey still. She wants to figure out what happened to her brother at that point.
Interesting.
So that was one of the biggest things where it was like, okay, now we finally, and it was something that we knew from day one. Like we admitted it. We were like, we know that, and we told the actress once we cast, we were like, we know that she's like two-dimensional. We're trying to figure out how to fix that. Yeah. And it just took that long. It took a year and like a couple of months to figure out, we can change the dynamic of the characters, and that made them so much more stronger. It raised the stakes so much more so that when stuff started happening, now she is arguing with her fiance. Yeah. And so that was one of the biggest things.
So getting into that, though, because that's a good segue point with you, talking about struggles, like what was your biggest struggle you had getting into acting? Like what did you have to overcome, your biggest challenges that you face, especially for like newer actors, actors that haven't, really stepped into this industry yet, but they want to? What was something that you wish you would have known beforehand? That way you could have overcome it a little easier.
I think, actually, I feel like there was 2 different questions there.
Yeah, there is.
But
it's kind of, layered a little bit.
If I get off track, let me know, redirect. But I think the biggest obstacle to overcome to step into a creative industry such as acting is unbelief. I think you have to believe that you are, how do I say this? That you can bring something that nobody else can. To whichever creative department like is your focus, whether it's acting, writing, directing, is that you have to believe that you are of value. And a value that is not, it's not even equal to anybody else. It's your own value. There's nobody like you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so you have to have belief that you have value that no one else does, even though we're all valuable, but that it is intrinsically unique to you. And that you have something to offer, you have something to bring that is capable of changing the industry or the world, honestly. I mean, when I grew up, I was like, I want to change the world.
Yeah.
And then we kind of cover that up. But at the heart of it, we want to make a positive impact in some way. We want to do something good, and we are motivated by that. And I think that is the first step, is overcoming that unbelief. If you can do that and believe, I have value, I can bring something to this industry that nobody else can, then that's the first step. You have to believe that, because it will have to sustain you. Because this industry, let me look at the cameras, this industry, there's rejection. A lot of it, a ton of it. And at some point, everybody else saying, but you're so great, or you're good enough, or whatever, it's just not gonna land the same.
not gonna be enough.
Support helps.
Yeah.
And it's an encouragement, but you can't just like rely and lean on other people to always be validating your worth. You have to believe that you are of value and that you bring that. And so that's what I say. That's the biggest thing. Overcoming the unbelief.
Well, that comes back to something actually we talked about in an earlier podcast with Derek Sawyer. I mean, even I forget the name of the director, but the director of 10 Things I Hate About You, that was something that he coached Derek and was like, take out all the punctuation, take out all of this action, which I mean, a lot of acting coaches say that. Yeah. But, and then just make it you. And it's exactly what you're saying is once you realize that you need to make it authentic, that you don't need to, I mean, especially I fell into this habit when I first started acting, was being like a caricature or being maybe like modeling after another actor or something. Because I got compared to Matt Damon all the time. So I started to kind of mold myself to his acting, which isn't me.
I didn't actually think about that until you said it.
I get that one a lot. But like, that's not authentically me though. Yeah. In the moment that I started doing things that were just me in the moment, that's when I started booking.
And that's what I like when people say you need to be authentic. I feel they should say you need to be authentic to yourself.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a big difference, honestly, between being authentic and authentic to yourself.
Wow.
And I feel like if you can bring, like you said, if you take out the punctuation marks of everything you do, whatever you do, and you read it as yourself, right there, you have the upper hand because you are being who you are.
And there's only one of you.
The script. Yeah.
There's only one of you. No one's gonna, like, we also talked about this with John earlier, because just from I think it was John, from like a casting perspective, like you do casting and you'll see like 10 to 12 people do the exact same thing that's not in the script at all. For some reason, they all do it though. I remember like when we did our first feature film, Broken Vows, we were auditioning detectives, and every single one of them, it wasn't in the script. There was a line that was like, picked up the knife and slit his throat, and every single one of them did that. Wasn't in the script. I don't know why, but every single person did that until that one person that didn't do it. Yeah. Or that one person that did it in a manner that was way more authentic, and it didn't seem pre-staged. It seemed like they just kind of thought about it.
Yeah.
But not.
So what about from the casting side?
Yeah,
do you feel like you got?
I think that makes you freer in the casting. I think that when you let go of the urge to please the people, and for me, it's always like I always want to do something that's true to the character. I feel like that's the highest form of respect to a writer, to a production, is to do what's true for the character. And what's interesting when you're talking about writing for female characters, sometimes what's true doesn't resonate because it wasn't what they expected.
They didn't know that's what they wanted.
But women were like, I get that. Like, but so I'm saying is like, and then but if you do that, eventually the right casting director, the right production team will see that, and then they'll be like, we love that. And then you're like, that's who I want to work with. Yeah. And so not every no, like most no's aren't their redirects towards the yes that you're supposed to be working with. And so I think you're more free when you release that expectation. Also remember, like, casting, they want you to be amazing.
Yeah.
So they're like, they want you to be the person that walks in and is that.
Makes their job easier.
Yeah, it makes their job,
be like,
exactly.
Okay, I want your tape to be the one that I don't have to look at any other tapes.
Well, and they're also a reflection too. You coming in as an actor, you're a reflection of that casting director because they're the ones that brought you in, and they're like, hey, we want you.
That's true.
So they want you to do good because it makes them look good.
Yeah. And then you just go big, go do it. And going big might be really small.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing is like, some, and you said letting go of all the punctuation, whatever, like you read the scene and how would I do this? If I was this person and I have my, and dialogue informs the character. Dialogue really informs the character. If it's very mechanical, that tells you the procedural training that somebody has had. And so and how they had, so anyway, I sidetracked that, but dialogue informs the character. So listen to what the writers are communicating to you. How does that inform your character? And then where's your connection point? And then if that's that truth, then hold on to that. And then let go of what you think should happen and then just let it happen. And that is honestly can be the most pure form of a performance. And you can't overthink all of the aspects of it. You have to, as actors, we're emotionally driven, and then we rein in the technicality. So I think just, like being very free.
Well, I think Bryan Cranston said it too in an interview. He said that for him, the best thing that he's ever learned, I guess, as an actor, is going in, doing the audition, giving everything you have, showing them exactly what you want to show them, and leaving and forgetting everything. Yeah. That is the hardest thing for me, and I know that I still struggle with it, is I do an audition and I'm like you said earlier, I killed it. I feel like I should have this role. So in the back of your mind, every day you're like, am I going to get a call? Are they going to email me or something?
Yeah.
And it's just always stuck with you. And then if you just go in, do what you're supposed to do, know that you did a great job, forget it, and just move on to the next one. I feel like that it's a lot easier, and it's a lot more like mentally stabling for me if I can do that. Because if not, I'm just going to drive myself crazy until I figure out if I got it or didn't get it.
And that also comes back to, like, we've talked about this a few times, but like what's in your control.
Yeah.
What's in my control is my training, my interpretation of the script, me throwing it out there, giving it my all.
Yeah.
And then that's all you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever they do with that, whatever happens with the project, whether they get the money, whatever, that's on them.
Yeah.
But you can only do what you can do. And like, I can't remember which actor I heard this from, but there was a podcast I listened to. They said they would throw away the script every time after. I started doing that.
And
that has helped a lot. Because I used to keep the script and be like, oh, I might need my notes for later. But in all honesty, once you get the new script, you're going to have the full script. It's going to be a completely different story. You're going to have completely different notes. And you don't need that anymore. So I've started throwing away the script every time after my audition.
You know what's crazy too is I did the Chicago P.D. and just for the very first day they sent me the full script, and the very first day my name already changed. Like my character name. And I'm just like, but it's crazy that then they send me a pink page and a yellow page and they had all these updates and whatever script revisions. And it's like how different the story changes. As soon as you book that role, they're already changing a whole bunch of stuff. So like you said, just you preparing for this thing, I mean, it could instantly change before you even get on set.
Usually, especially for like feature films, usually when you're auditioning, that's a draft anyway.
Yeah.
So then there's no point in like keeping all that stuff in because once you get that new draft, you need to look at it from a fresh perspective.
Oh, yeah.
There's an acting teacher, I can't think of the name right now, but the podcast is I Don't Need an Acting Teacher. And he says, anytime you look at a script, it doesn't matter if you've read it before, you look at it and you go, I know nothing. Yeah. And you see what like new inspirations, what new insight you get from that. Yeah. Why can't I not think of his name? But it's Milton Justice, I think. That might be his name. Okay. Yeah. I don't need an acting teacher.
Well, yeah, I feel like there's a lot that you guys just like touched on, like that really needs to be fleshed out, like the necessary adaptability of being an actor, and then the willingness to let go of your expectations and listen to what the script has to inform you. Yeah. And there was something else that you said, but that is understanding, I guess, in a way, understanding that what you've got on paper is going to be a different story on set. Absolutely. And then it's going to be a different story in the edit. Yeah. And I think, you know, a valuable tool for actors is to work on the set as, I mean, the easiest thing you could do is be a production assistant and humble yourself and be a production assistant, because it's actually a fun job because you're in the lowest pressure position and but you can be the hustler. And I love doing that kind of stuff for Friends Productions and stuff like that, because you can help out with the different departments and you can watch and you can see, especially early on. And then if you can get in the editing bay and watch an editing session or participate in editing or try to edit your own reel, you can understand like, oh, this is why I need to do things this kind of in a similar way, if it depending on your budget, you know, or this is why I have to be prepared because we don't want to do multiple takes, or when do I need to employ the method versus when do I need to be able to come in and out of my character because I'm working with minors, for example. So like having the adaptability and then also understanding filmmaking, behind the camera will help you to be more adaptable. It'll help you to be more accepting of the film changing through its various stages. And it will also kind of open your mind to listen more to what the story is telling you, and that there's a director with a passion and a writer with a vision and a production team that's getting behind telling a story. Like, it's not all about you.
Yeah. I think that's something that's super important for film, is that it is a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
And you need to know, like, kind of
Yeah.
your piece
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
collaborative
Your role.
effort. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a team sport.
Honestly.
Well, like, speaking of, I think we mentioned, like, hustling. Speaking of hustling, you just got off a set. I don't know how
Yes,
much
I
you can
did.
talk about it, but, like, Leanne literally just drove and we're like, hey, can you stop
I
by?
was gonna say, it wasn't.
Yeah.
She just didn't get off the set. She got off the set and drove here.
Yeah.
Here on our way back
Which
home.
is yeah.
Yeah,
Which was
yeah.
from, was it Nashville?
Nashville, Tennessee.
From
Yeah.
this spot where we're at now, it's about a four and a half hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still made it on time, by the way.
Yeah.
We would have been an hour late if it was us. So that's impressive.
It's just because you're feeding me Chick-fil-A and that sauce has got something in it. It's kind of magical. Yeah.
It's kind of
Magic
magical.
sauce.
Can you talk about the set at all?
I could talk a little bit about it for sure. It is slated. There is a deal with a very high exposure streaming service.
Distribution.
Yeah, so I can't really speak too much on that, but it's a great deal for this one, and so there's a lot of stakes involved in performance, and there was stunt sequences that I had to do today.
Nice.
Yeah, I was so but again, the biggest thing today was, and the biggest learning point for me in doing these stunts and understanding the gravitas, so to speak, of this being near the end of the film, and the weight of this scene and this moment being pure and being on point, and then also knowing that it was going to rain. And they were like, we have got this window of opportunity to shoot this scene, and we're gonna have one, maybe two, if we can squeeze it out, takes
yeah.
for you to get it. And
But no pressure.
But no pressure. But yeah, I was like, it always happens. It's always clutch.
Yeah.
And it's like, and you go through all, the different shot coverage, and then they're going to get to that close up. And the nature of this scene is one in which I'm not just doing this by myself. I have a scene partner, and you have to work together. And this can go with fights. It can go with fight choreography, with intimacy. It is, you have to work together. And you, even if you don't know the person, if you're both on the same goal and on the same mindset of we need to make this the best we can, and you're willing to trust one another, like, I think that when you establish that trust and you have that, that is the most beautiful thing, because you don't feel alone in that moment. And so, during his coverage, I was like, the cameraman was like, hey, could you just look at this point? I was like, how do I get into that position if we need to move things so that point of connection I can give to him, and he can give to me, so that we can give to each other to make sure that performance is on point, because there is nothing more valuable than human connection. And you can study all the time how to act, but if you actually experience something with another person or experience it yourself, the wealth of that learning is going to be so much more powerful in your art. And so that collaboration today made everything, not only did it make it fun, even though we knew the pressure was there, the performance was there. And then they're like, okay, great. And then moving on, you're like, great to have you, Leanne, your rap clap. And then, you're checking, whatever. And then you just leave.
Yeah.
And then they're moving on to the next shot. And I say, man, if you want to be an actor that gets accolades, go into theater. Because you'll work hard and they'll clap for you, and people, and then it's done and you let it go. But I was like, some films don't even get made sometimes, and guess what? Nobody's going to clap for you. They're already thinking about the next shot. And they're like, we have to deal with these actors today,
You just kind of hope that they liked it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if they're not making you do another take, if they're not saying anything, that's a good thing. That means you're doing it right.
A lot of the
For the
time
most
it
part.
is. Yeah, for the most
Or
part.
they're just really
I'm
nice.
curious about, for the most part. I'm curious about this.
Well, I was just saying in general, for the most part, I mean, sometimes you'll get, I've seen it firsthand where somebody is on set. I actually, the Devil Below, I won't say any names or anything like that, but there's a guy that went out there. This is a different one, but it's not along the same lines. But there's a guy went out there, performed, he did his stuff, but it was not great. You can tell that he didn't prepare for it. And they were just like, yeah, man, that's great. And they same thing. They're like, sent him on their way. And then eventually they ended up reshooting it, cutting him completely out of it.
Right.
And he thought he did a great job. I mean, they said, great job, whatever, dismissed him. He went back to his hotel room and they sent him home. Got somebody else to do it, and they reshot it the next day.
Now you've given her more anxiety. She's like,
no. This is, and I'll tell you why this is a good thing. This is actually for an actor's podcast. This is great because if you spend your career blaming other people for things, you're going to be miserable. You have to take accountability and learn. Go, oh, dang. So here's the thing: is we as actors cannot always expect a director to have the same emotional relatability that actors have with other actors.
True, for sure.
And so when that transparency is like, we wake up and we're like, how am I feeling today? What are my feelings? And like, I'm tuning into like my, that's not like they have so many things they're thinking about. And so what I've learned is to be very communicative, either before a big scene, because not every scene,
you don't need it every time.
Don't get obsessed about it. But
so how do I come in here and say hello?
Yes. Come in with a prepared choice. But the key is like to communicate, and I do this with the audio engineer too. I tell them that my levels are very loud in real life and then very quiet. And they're like, because they usually crank it up, and then they're like, oh, dang, Leanne, what did you say? Because I'm like, this is me. Hi, I'm on set, and I'm like, so I was thinking about it.
We literally had a joke on this film Bystanders.
Yeah.
That it was the Nicolas Cage form of acting where I was either whispering or screaming.
Yes.
Sound guy hated me.
Yeah. So the key is communication, and with your director is saying, listen, I know this is big. I know this might be uncomfortable for you.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure that you have what you have. You need to make sure you get what you get. Like if we need to do it multiple times, or if there's something that I'm doing that isn't working for camera, and the emotion is there, but technically it needs to be more here. Like I was like, I want you to know, like I'm here for it, and I'm here for you, and I'm ready to receive that. And then and then we go for that, and then we'll do the take, or 1 or 2 times if it's a very emotionally volatile scene, or it's a stunt.
Yeah,
like choreograph it to the max because you're actually get hurt on take 1. So, but like, and then after, and they're saying, oh, that was good. And then I'm like, okay, was it in focus? Looking at the DP, like, was it? And I'm like looking at the DP, and the DP's like, yeah, I was in focus. I'm like, okay, do you want to watch playback? Do you need a variation in case in the edit that reaction isn't going to fit? Yeah. And like, just making sure that you just give a little bit of extra, not that you're not confident with what you did, but you're more like, are you sure? Because I'm here for you. Yeah. Like, I'm here for this, but I'm also here for it. Like, I'm here for you. And that, I think actors need to learn to just be mindful of, like, that somebody might say it's good, but they don't know how to, it's awkward for them.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I don't know how to, and you're just like, okay, but was it great? That's something I typically say. Yeah. Somebody they're like, oh, it was good. And I was like, but was it great? And they're like, I'm like, let's do it again. But they're like, oh, no. I'm like, okay. So ask questions. And again, it's not about you. Yeah. You might have done, but something could have been off for camera. Now they've got a fuzzy shot they can't use. So just, Yeah. Or you did great, but it didn't read. Now you got to do it great again facing this way.
Or maybe you go 10 minutes without audio,
I
had to throw it in there one time, Derek. I'm sorry.
Got him. He's not paying attention. Got him. All right, so I'm going to address the elephant in the room since you have it on. Tell us about Extraction.
What, this shirt, Extraction USA?
Subtle. Very subtle.
Oh my gosh. This is an authentically independent, I'm from Indiana, it's a Hoosier made film. We did have some Kentucky actors that I worked with before come on board our production. But Extraction USA is basically about 2 pool hustlers that are kind of in a tough spot, and they decide to hustle some pool to get some money to get out of town, and then they uncover a drug ring. And that raises the stakes a little bit more. My character is a mom, so she's got this other relationship at play. I mean, you're uprooting an entire, somebody else's life and somebody else's existence. And then the relationship that the 2 pool hustlers have is also, I guess you would say, kind of true to life that sometimes things happen to you that you don't expect, that you can't foresee happening, and then they just do. And then life happens, and now what do you do? And so like when I read the script is written by Mike Yance, who is also the director, who is also the editor.
Nice.
And
Does everything.
He is, the whole package is great. And you know, I read this and I read it like this is a movie, and it was entertaining to read. And I was like, people are gonna want to watch this. Like, it's a fun, you know, fast paced, and there's a good amount of drama. But for me, it was more like life picks up in this moment, and then these things happen, and how do they deal with it? Yeah. And like in terms of the totem pole of morality, I think my character's at the bottom. Yeah. Because there's other characters like they're way better people, like way better. But to come in and have that narrative follow her through that journey is an opportunity for audiences to kind of take a step back and like, am I judging her? Am I like, am I like, I'm like to have that non-judgmental approach of like, oh, we're all kind of shitty sometimes. Yeah. And I like those characters. I like the ones where we can't just one-dimensionally make them a hero, you know, or one-dimensionally make them a villain, but they're just real people. Yeah. And so I really felt like this was the script that did it, and I wanted to fight for it. And so said not only, you know, he said, I see you in this role as an actor after watching Chasing Rabbits by Eric Pasquarelli, who's also filming another movie at the end of this month. But he's like, I see you in this. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not only will I act in it, but I'll help you get it made. And I'll help you get it made fast. Because I'm done with these 2 to 3, 4 year turnarounds. Yeah. Let's make a movie and let's do it. And that's what we did. And we're in the coloring phase. We're locking in our musicians for some authentic original songs from the Midwest to be in our original score and showcase independent artists. So it's going to have a really unique soundtrack to the film.
Do you have like an estimated release date at all?
Well, we have several interested distributors. Nice. Just based on our POC, which is a proof of concept, as well as like our publicity and some of the things that we've been showcasing out into the world on the socials, Extraction USA, Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, we have a big pool that said, resend this to us when it's finished, and then we've got a small pool of like distributors that were like, we want to see it, like send us a screener ASAP. Cool. So we are kind of in a position where, depending on the distribution deal, there may be certain stipulations on the distributor as to whether or not how much autonomy we have for distribution in terms of like a theatrical release or a red carpet premiere. But I foresee the best distribution deal either being one where they purchase the film entirely at a price that is able to pay all of our investors and be worthwhile for everybody who is involved, or it's a kind of a collaborative approach in which we can make sure that not only is that going to happen over a period of time, but we'll be able to showcase the film in a way that benefits the actors, benefits crew that were involved. Because a distributor, if you sign a bad deal, man, they can shelve that project
take them
and nobody will see it. And all your actors and everybody who believed in you and said, we're on board, yes, this is going to add value to me. Guess what? They don't want to do anything with you no more. And you might have made your own money back. You might have made some of your investors back, but you lost a lot of friends. Yeah. And for me, there's no point in doing this if you're not doing it with people you care about. And I wouldn't turn my back on my film family. So we'll find the best deal for the film that kind of matches all of our goals.
And also around here, you have to be careful of that too, because everyone knows everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a small community. Yeah, it's that is true.
You're gonna be stuck on the island at that point.
That is true. Yeah. The Midwest film community, even though it's kind of over the place, you see
everyone's
the same people
collaborated
pop up.
With
everybody.
Everyone.
Yeah. There's been films that I've been on that were super far away from here that I've seen people that I've only seen exclusively here that are on other stuff. I'm like, dude, what do you do?
Why are you?
I'm like, I'd be in like random places. Like I'd be in Chicago or
Well, you have to travel. I mean, it's traveling actors. Yeah. If you're a Midwest-based actor, you live in Indiana, Kentucky, especially Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, maybe like people are like, oh, you drove so far. I was like, anything under 3 hours is not far for me. Like if I can get to Chicago or Columbus or, I was like, that's not far. Like you just got to put in the miles to get the gigs.
It's crazy when you talk to normies and they're like, you drove 3 hours?
Yeah. Or you sat in traffic in LA for 3 hours. Yeah. I mean, what's the difference?
I mean, that's just leaving the airport.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, at least I get somewhere.
Yeah. At least I can just keep moving.
Breathing air.
Well, I'm also going to be a little bit selfish since we have you on here. We just cast you in Renegade.
That's right.
And that was
How could
something
I
that
forget?
I actually got to help cast. And we cast you on the spot because, I mean, obviously you listened to...
And I didn't hear from you for
Really?
weeks. No, I'm just kidding.
We cast you on the spot as soon as I was free to watch the tape. We'll say that.
Gotcha. Wow.
And I mean, just talking to you and listening to you, obviously we can tell that you have a passion for acting, and it showed in the tape. You came in with strong choices, super risky. I mean, you had basically the uniform without covering your face. And yeah, I'm just super excited to work with you.
Yes. And I've been like watching a lot of the stuff that you've been doing as well. And I think part of the reason for even putting in the audition was I saw that you were a person who gets things done and you were hustling. And that was, to me, was, I want to be a part of this person's vision.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Because, absolutely. Yeah. Because, and I think that finding people who, we're all different, but like, if there's somebody who works hard, I would rather be in a project or invested with someone who's working hard, who has shown that they have that resiliency and that fortitude and they're consistent versus somebody that's going to give me a bigger paycheck. Because that will go away, which again, now, I don't know, other people don't have the luxuries. I'm not judging doing anything for a paycheck, but I'm just saying if you're in a position, like if I'm in a position, I'm going to take working with the person that I respect versus working with the paycheck that I feel like respects me more. Like, does that make sense? Like, yeah.
It's funny because like where you mentioned like the reason you became a producer is because you wanted to get shit done. I mean, that's the whole reason I have a production company, and that's the whole reason that I came on board as an executive producer for Renegade.
That's right.
Is because I saw. I mean,
big.
that was the whole reason that I even was the lead in Renegade, is because I saw that Nick had the vision, but didn't really have the connections or the resources or the like the knowledge of the business side of the film.
Right.
And I can bullshit that better, so I was like, I can do it for you.
Producer live. But it started with the script for you, was it? It started with the script? Was the story
started
first?
with, he literally called me. We actually have an episode, so I won't go too into it.
Yeah.
But he literally called me like the night of, because someone backed out of his proof of concept. And he was like, hey man, I've seen you've been working out. Do you want to be a superhero for a night? And I'm like, is there pay? He's like, fuck no. I'm like, all right. Well, what do you need me there?
We got Chick-fil-A.
Like he didn't feed me or anything. I brought a protein shake, but I was on a diet then.
Throw him on a bus. Didn't feed me or anything.
But I mean, he did let me become like a badass superhero.
Yeah.
We got to do a fight scene, and it looked great.
And
He
I know
really
you've
just
always talked about wanting to be a superhero.
Always,
anyway.
yeah.
in the
No,
film.
it was
So,
it was something I manifested. Actually,
felt right in your life.
in our old our old season of the podcast, I talk about how one of my dream roles is to become a superhero, and
Here
it
we
happened.
are.
We manifested that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, but then from there, he pitched me right there on the spot. He was like, "This is my idea for like the first episode. This is my idea for like the first season."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, keep me informed." And I kept asking if there was money, and he kept saying no. So I had to suck it up when there was a strike, and I was like, "All right, this is a good time for us to film it."
Yeah.
Now you have my attention.
You have my attention. I'm bored. I want to do something.
mean,
but no,
yeah.
honestly, like the way I saw it is, I was like, this is a long-term investment. I know he's going to make a good project.
Right.
He went to school for
Right.
it. I've seen his stuff. I've
Yep.
worked with him.
Yep.
And also, like, he is just such a good visionary. Like, he designed all the costumes. He wrote the script.
Wow.
He's done everything. Yeah. He created the costumes. Like, he's the
Wow.
one building the costumes. So like he knows what he's doing, and that's what brought me on board. Is I just trusted him. As a director, he's amazing. He's already got we've got the next 2 episodes already written. He's already starting the shot list. We've already got the gear equipment written down, everything we need.
Yeah.
So yeah, at this point we just need money. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to invest in Renegade, super low budget, it's $30,000 for 2 episodes. So just get at me. We did have our first I can't say who, but we did have our first $5,000 producer.
Nice.
So we'll be signing them next
Bravo.
week. Yeah. but we need more money. So-
And you have packages, like you have a packet that you send out which tells you where is this going and, you know, what's in it for you, right? So it's not just like you have a plan and you want to take care of people who are wanting to invest and produce
we
as
have
well.
the Indiegogo going on. If you just at the very base level, if you just want to put some money in and get some perks like a shirt or a poster or something. But then we also have investment unit tiers, which I forget. I've got Deep Within the Cave stuck in my mind right now. I think the lowest for Renegade might be $500. I could be wrong, but that's no back end, and like $1,500 is with back end. I can't remember. But we have like an investor packet. We've got a pitch deck. If anyone's interested, Kevin Porter is on board now. So I'm really excited about that. But going back to that though, you get to play like an awesome action role, and you've done a lot of action roles. So I'm curious, like we've only talked about the acting side. Like, what got you into these acting or action roles? Sorry.
I think just since I was a kid, like I was always drawn to the doing of something. So like, I can even take this back further. While other girls were playing with Barbie dolls, I was like G.I. Joe, like, whoa, bah, 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 you know, but then also they had relationships too, like, I'll never leave you, bro. Like, I got you, you know, oh, don't. Like, so even, like, I still had that emotional element to the fighting and stuff. But like when I was in second grade, I jumped out of a tree. I thought I was the Red Power Ranger. Like I was always like Karate Kids, you know, like those are the games that I played were very physical. I've done sports my whole life. I've done physical sports. I played hockey, roller derby. What's that? No, just on roller skates, man. Roller skates? Like, dancing around other bodies, trying not to get checked. No, so I'm a very repetitive learner, but I'm a slow learner. Okay. And that's pretty much with everything. Any success that I've had academically or athletically has been through repetition and discipline. I grew up in small towns that did not have a lot of opportunities for girls to play sports. There was either dance or, you know, the guy sports. And so my dad was awesome, and oftentimes he had to co-coach just so that I had those opportunities. But a lot of that was the coaches being like, look, just because you're a girl, like you can't just like cry or whatever, like, and they're gonna take it easy on you. You gotta like, so I had to, you know, sometimes practice twice as hard. I had to get my skill level up, you know, twice as good, just so that I could earn my spot and demonstrate like I earned this spot. Respect me and score points and win. And so I had to learn like at a very young age that, you know, I can't complain about my position. I have to elevate myself above that. And, you know, that was about opportunities. So when there's like discrimination and things like that, you know, I say, okay, I was like, you have to, like, there's a certain point where you can like say with your voice and you can complain, you can whatever, but then you gotta prove it. Mm-hmm. So
back it up.
And so put yourself into those spaces where you can elevate and then show what you've got, and the right people are going to see that value. They're going to believe in you the way you believe in yourself, and they're going to create or give you those opportunities. But that was like I'm a very, very physical person, and I go big in a lot of things. And one of the biggest tips I got was, Leanne, take all of that physicality that you feel in your body and bring it in, and then push it out through like your eyes.
Yep.
And that is hard to do.
It's very hard to do.
It is hard to do because it's like you want to force the feeling out, but instead take all those feels and bring them in, and it's just like and let that out through your eyes and acting.
Beautiful
and it's
happens.
so and a lot of great physical actors have incredible moments on camera because they're able to suck in that energy, and then it has to come out in like a still moment. But also like the stunts we were doing today, like, I mean, we were falling, and there was, you know, it was like extremely physical, and it's just always like, it's like, I'm good. I've trained for this. I learned how to fall, you know, I've done, you know, Krav Maga. And so it's like, how do you fall safely? How do you, you know, and it's just that visceral aspect. I think I'm just very drawn to physical. And it's not always a good thing. I have thrown a chair in a roller derby game. You can ask my and then I was ejected from the game. But the fans loved it, and I don't necessarily regret it, but I wouldn't do it again. Yeah. And it wasn't at anybody. But I'm just saying, like.
So you missed.
Yeah, on purpose. But it's basically like that. Is either it's a natural part of you, and then you just have to learn how to understand it. I feel like understand is a better word than control, because it's like understand and then redirect. and that energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can we find you at? Like,
Yeah.
where if people wanted to follow you or follow your projects, what would be the easiest way to do that?
Where can they find me if they want to follow me?
What is your address?
Yeah.
How do they stalk you?
Yes, exactly. So Leanne Johnson Official on Instagram, and then Leanne Johnson Actor on Facebook. And I'm usually pretty open to like collaboration and people who are if I have actors send me stuff all the time too, because I produce, and then I also like get pulled in on casting sometimes for projects. So actors like, hey, send me your stuff. Like, yeah, like definitely do that. And you know, or just like, I love the encouragement that we can offer one another.
Yeah.
So like, I always feel like some people are so famous that they're not able to connect with people. I'm not at that level yet.
I
I don't even know if I want to be at that level where you get to the point where somebody's sending you a sincere message and you don't ever respond for the rest of their life.
awful.
Like, it sounds horrible to
To
me.
have
I
like
just-
a team member.
That's true.
Taking care of.
So even if
social
you get
media,
a response,
it wouldn't even matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even there.
Yeah.
But right now I don't have a team member.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love to encourage or get somebody's stuff and be like, yeah, because then I have it. But yeah, I just reach out, you know, and
Do
let's
you have
work
anything that
together.
you want to promote right now that's out that people can go watch? Like, where can they
I
watch
have
that?
2 films that'll be released this month. One of them is an action film. It's called Alan and the Rulers of the Air. My character is a retired bodyguard who becomes a detective, but then she gets pulled back into
That's awesome.
that position. She struggles with a lot of conflicts about failure, a lot of wrestling with not being good enough, having failed, and her responses are I related to that, very physical. But then that battle of like needing healing but not being able to ask for it. It's a fantastic character, and I'm really excited for the world to see her. That's Alan and the Rulers of the Air is coming out Friday on streaming. So I think it will be available
Say
on
the
their
actual
website.
date, because this will probably be aired after that.
It is
out
now
now.
available on
you go.
Allen.org website to stream. And then Undefiled is a film about a professional baseball player who discovers a human trafficking ring. And he tries to rescue a girl out of that trafficking ring. And my character plays a waitress at a sports bar. And she presents him with another conflict in his life that will become apparent if you watch the film. It's called Undefiled, and it will be streaming on. I'm not sure they've released the streaming announcements, but if you search it, it's out there.
Undefiled?
It'll be out there. Undefiled. Yeah. So if you're like sports
We'll link that in.
and
We'll link it in,
drama, yeah, those will be out already. And then I have my typical indie darlings are out already. Chasing Rabbits, Oregonda. Trying to think what else is coming. Somebody's gonna get mad at me because I'll have forgotten something. They're gonna be like,
cut you off. We'll fix it.
You forgot. I have so many projects that I'm thinking about that I have to like. I was memorizing lines on the way down here, being
I
like,
bet, yeah.
just like, you know. But
I
you
do
get
that
it.
too. Like
Yeah.
whenever we're driving,
Yeah.
I always like have like if I have an audition or something, or I'll have
Yeah.
the lines going
And
through.
if you have something else too that you
Yeah.
want to plug in and you didn't say,
Just
we'll-
let us
we'll
know.
link
I
it.
mean, like,
we'll link it in. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm so proud of Extraction USA.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who said, you can't do that. Like, and distributors and people, and they said, yeah, like, come back to us when you've got something. And then I send them, like, this is where we're at. And they're like, oh, wait. Oh, you actually,
You're actually doing
you're
this thing?
doing it? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we didn't just do it. We did it.
we did
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And here's the thing is, like, you remember the people who show up for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you remember that person who's worth this much, and they're like, I got you. And they come, and it's like, I can't even quantify that. And you're like, I will remember you. And it's like, so when people show up at your set and you're not able to pay them as much as you wish you could, it should be one of the best experiences of their life. Like, and it's going to be hard and it's going to be tough, but love people, kindness, like, I mean, and when you're done at the end of your life, people are gonna be like, what movies were you in? Or what movies did you make? But they're gonna be like, they were kind to me.
Yeah.
Like, that says a lot. So just be kind to people. And
Well, going back to what you were talking about, like with a paycheck earlier, I remember, I'm not going to say the name of the project, but one of the worst experiences I've ever had was one of my best paychecks. And we literally were there for like 5 days, and 2 days I didn't see a camera once. we still got paid. We still had like a cabin we were staying in and stuff, and it was fun. But like we didn't get any usable footage from that. They didn't get enough filmed that they could even use. They had to go to a different state because they couldn't film there anymore.
Yeah.
We never were reached out again, and that was one of the worst experiences I've ever had. But I met a lot of people that I liked, and I had a good paycheck. But I mean, it just wasn't worth it to me because like we all were like all the actors were doing our own read-throughs. We had like 15 people there.
Right.
We were doing our own read-throughs, and we wanted to get out there and film what we were there for. Yeah. And it's just exactly what you were talking about. Like you remember that. You remember those kinds of sets.
Yeah.
But that's all the time we have for today. Leanne, thanks for coming out.
You are welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for stopping by, literally.
Literally swinging
on my tour. My tour.
She's like, I'll be in town. That's all right.
Yeah, it's fine. Louisville's like 45 minutes out. It's fine. I can make it work.
Stop by for a second.
All right. And to the audience, thank you again for tuning into Podcast of Traveling Actors. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.